This is not what you want to see on your property. This is where hogs have been wallowing in the mud. You can see it's about dried up, but you can tell where they've been laying in there, pressing up against it, trying to get a little mud on them, trying to cool off. Again, so you can see that hog wall there behind me where those pigs have been laying down, trying to cool down. We've known that there have been some here on the property. We've caught some on trail cams. So we know they're here. We've got to find a way to get rid of them at some point. So we're gonna have to, somebody's gonna have to come out here at night and shoot them, or we're gonna have to trap them some kind of way. But yeah, we want to get rid of those things, especially when we start planting some crops. First thing they're gonna do is come through and they're gonna root around, they're gonna dig up all our crops, and they're just gonna become a nuisance. And we certainly don't want to get out here with our family and have kids running around. And I mean, you just never know when one of these guys might pop up, and they are incredibly dangerous. So we want to try to get rid of them as best we can, eliminate them from our property. That way they're not causing problems, wreaking havoc, and quite frankly, so we don't run into them, which could certainly end up dangerous. Speaking of the hogs, okay, you can see this T-post over here, okay, and it is bent. All right, we stuck this T-post out here, well over a year ago, just simply as a marker. The pigs have been coming through, hogs have been coming through, and they've been rubbing up against this thing, and they have bent this T-post. I mean, anybody who's dealt with T-posts before knows that they're sturdy. They don't bend easily, and this thing is not just pushed over in the ground, like it is literally bent at the ground, because we drove these things in the ground well. And also you see this tree right here in front of me. You can see where those hogs have been rubbing up against it. You can see all that mud on those leaves right there. You can see these other trees right here, hogs rubbing right there on that tree, and then a little bit on that pine tree back there in the back. This right here is one of my favorite spots on the whole property. You've got this deep ravine right here with a little creek that runs at the bottom of it. You've got these big mature oak trees in here. It's quiet. You can come back here and just listen to the birds. A dream I have for this spot of the property would be to put a tree house right back there behind me in those big oak trees. Come right off this elevated part right here, bring you a ramp or a bridge straight out into a tree house that looks down over that little creek into that big ravine. One, it'd just be a lot of fun. Two, it'd be cool to have it as a place to come down here and do some work. But also, when you have guests come, just let them come down here and stay, and let them just experience something neat, like staying in a tree house for a day, or just letting the kids come down here and play. So certainly a dream of mine. We'll see when we get to that. Certainly not anywhere close to that right now, but would love to put a tree house on this side of the property. One of my favorite things about coming out here, just to the property in general, is these two dogs right here, Bear, the chocolate lab, and then Lucy, the border Brittany mix. They have such a good time out here. They're great. They love coming out here and playing around in the creeks. They're just great companions. So, everybody knows that man's best friend is a good dog, and I have two of them, and I can't tell you how great it is for them to come out here and just walk through the woods with you and explore and just enjoy being out here in nature. Just found a trail of turkey feathers. That's probably not good news for the turkey. Walking around out here in these woods, you never know what you're gonna walk up on. Been out here hundreds of times walking around, have found numerous antlers, deer sheds, have also found deer skulls, deer skeletons. But I've just stumbled across something that I have not seen before out here. It's the remains of a turkey carcass. Anytime I stumble across remains of an animal, I'm always curious what happened to it. Sometimes you can look and you can tell, but in this case with the turkey, I have no idea. I don't know if it died and this is where it came to rest. Now where the feathers are scattered, it kind of tells me that, you know, it became prey. I don't know what to, a fox, maybe a coyote, but it certainly begs some questions, and it's curious, and I don't know, just the mystery of it is kind of interesting to me. You can see that entire carcass still intact right there. I don't see any of the head or neck, but the entire carcass is still there, along with a ton of feathers that are scattered through the area. I don't remember the last time I walked through this area to know just how long it's been here, but it's certainly one of those fascinating things you stumble across out in the wild. I know one thing that I want to learn more about is how to identify more tracks, identify more skeletons, identify scat, just so I know what all is out here, what I'm running into, what animals could be nearby. So I know that's one thing where I want to grow and I want to learn more about, especially with us. We're going to have some dense wooded areas, so we're going to have plenty of wildlife. Of course, we're going to have our farm area, our garden area. We're going to have where our homes are, but still over 80% of this property is going to be wooded, so there's going to be wildlife moving in and out of here. Where I'm standing right now is right next to the big creek that's here on the property. It runs right beside it. It's one of our borders. Where I found that turkey skeleton is just over here in front of me. The creek is over here to my right. But where I am right now is Corps of Engineer property. So technically it's ours, but we can't do anything to it. We can't cut down these trees. They have to stay. That way it ensures that these creek banks are not going to erode away. It's not going to change the course of the creek. So it's essentially ours, but we can't change it in a way that would impact this ecosystem in here. So it's I mean, it probably takes it's probably several acres worth throughout as it borders all these creeks in here. Just it makes for a little different landscape. You get different vegetation. The tree growth looks a little bit different, but it is dense. It is dense right up next to the creek, and just makes for a little interesting or different area for our farm. If we're gonna come down to the big creek, the dogs have got to swim. They love the water. They love coming down here and swimming. You can see that the water is down right now. I'm not sure why. I haven't kept up with what's going on over at the lake, but they have definitely let the water down. You can see just how much they've let it down. It's quite a bit. It's pretty interesting. I've never been able to walk this far out into the creek before. There's a little sandbar right here on the edge, so I'm able to walk out in there. You can see that we are quite literally down in the creek. There's Luce swimming. There's Bear. But yes, we are down in the creek. Need to find out why the water's down so low. Maybe it's just because we hadn't had any rain. They had to let some water out at the dam. There are a multitude of reasons why people choose to homestead. Some choose to homestead because they want to provide for themselves. They want to be self-sufficient. Some decide to do it because they want to move and get away from the city or just the hustle and bustle of certain areas. Some do it because they grew up that way and they love farming. Some people choose to do it because of health reasons. And I think that is the biggest one. There's certainly many reasons why people choose to homestead. A lot of that it's a combination of those things. But I know one of the biggest things for myself and my family, yes, we want to have chickens. We want to, raise our own beef for ourselves and our own pork. But really it's just, we're after a healthy lifestyle, a lifestyle that is free from the grasp of industrial farming, free from the grasp of just counting on the grocery store to get all our produce from. So we want to be as self-sufficient as possible. Of course, there may be things that we can't do for ourselves, but if there are things that we can't grow or we can't raise on our own, then we want to build relationships with other homesteaders, other small local farms, where we can either barter and trade for, or we can simply support them by purchasing from them. And then hopefully there'll be some type of good that we produce that we can turn around and do the same thing for them.